Today, we're diving deep into the massive world of insurance, a whole industry built on one thing, managing risk. But it begs the question, who's managing their risk? What protects the protectors?
It really is the essential question, isn't it? Insurance companies are our safety net for when things go wrong, but they're also huge businesses facing absolutely colossal threats themselves. So, what keeps them standing?
And when I say colossal, I mean it. We're talking about a global industry worth over $7 trillion. This isn't just about money, you know. This is the bedrock of our social and economic security. When you're managing that much risk, the margin for error is basically zero. So, you'd think they'd have this all figured out, right? Well, for decades, the way they handled this danger was, well, let's just say it was surprisingly fragmented. Let's take a look at the old way of seeing things. Okay, imagine a giant ship. You've got the navigator, the engineer, and the person in the crow's nest. They're all experts at their job, but they never, ever talk to each other. That's pretty much how insurance used to work. Each department saw its own little piece of the puzzle, but nobody, and I mean nobody, was looking at the whole picture. Sooner or later, a system like that is going to show its cracks, and eventually, those cracks became gaping holes that were just impossible to ignore. It sparked a total revolution in how they think about risk. And that new way is called Enterprise Risk Management, or ERM. The key word here, the magic word, is holistic. See, ERM isn't about looking at individual risks in their own little boxes. It's about seeing how they all connect and interact. It's one single unified system to understand the total risk a company is facing at any given moment. And this right here, this is the heart of the change. You're moving away from separate departments just reacting to problems as they pop up and moving toward a single integrated strategy that actually anticipates risk across the whole organization. It's a fundamental shift, really. It's like going from constantly playing defense to finally playing offense. But you know, a big idea like this, a better way of doing things, it doesn't just take hold overnight. So what did it take for this to become the new standard? Well, like so many huge changes in history, it took a crisis. You can literally see the story unfold right here on this timeline. For decades, ERM was this idea just kind of simmering along. But then, look what happens in 2008. The global financial crisis hits. And that wasn't just a wake-up call, it was a 5-alarm fire. It proved, in the most painful way possible, that the old, siloed approach wasn't just inefficient, it was catastrophic. The source research for this very explainer says it perfectly. The crisis made it crystal clear that in today's complex, interconnected world, the old strategies were of little value. A new, tougher system wasn't just a nice-to-have anymore, it was absolutely essential for survival. So how does this new system actually work? Well, it's pretty simple when you break it down into 3 layers. Step 1 is the foundation. That's your basic risk management, looking at things like interest rates. Then step 2, ERM, is the framework that pulls all of that together into one big picture. And step 3, that's the real driver, regulation. New rules came in that basically said, hey, you have to hold enough cash to cover your total risk, which forced companies to finally adopt this bigger, smarter view. Okay, so we have the framework, but what's the difference between an ERM program that's just for show and one that actually works? Well, the research points to some key ingredients for success. First, it's pretty fascinating to see where this stuff is being studied the most. Europe and North America are way out in front, which makes sense, right? That's where ERM really took off first. But this also shows us something really important, a big gap in our understanding of how this all plays out in developing economies. Now, here's something that's absolutely crucial to get. Successful ERM isn't just about a process or a piece of software. It's about people. It's about power structures. You need an independent board that's not afraid to ask tough questions. You need strong governance. You need active committees. And you need one person, the chief risk officer, who's dedicated to making it all hang together. And listen, this isn't just some business school theory. The data shows a direct, powerful link. Bigger firms, because they have more to lose, are faster to adopt ERM. An independent board isn't just window dressing, it has a real, measurable, positive impact on how well this gets done. These things are what turn a policy on a piece of paper into a real, living practice. So, all of this brings us right to the edge of what we currently know. ERM has totally transformed the industry, no doubt about it. But the story of risk? Oh, it is far from over. There are still some huge, unanswered questions out there. What are the blind spots?
The very study we're looking at today was actually designed to find them, to shine a light on the critical questions we still need to answer.
And it found several huge gaps. We need to better understand the real role of the chief risk officer. We need to know how ERM really works in developing economies in Asia and Africa. And we have to figure out how it can handle the crises of the future. But maybe the biggest missing piece of the whole puzzle is something you can't really measure on a spreadsheet.
It's called risk culture. And really, this is the human element of it all. It has nothing to do with rules or frameworks. It's about how the people in an organization actually think and feel about risk. Do they talk about it openly? Do they feel safe challenging a bad decision? That's culture. And the study is pretty blunt about this. It says, without a sound risk culture, effective ERM is just impossible. You can have the best system in the world, the fanciest software, but if your company culture doesn't support it, it's just an empty shell. Risk culture is the soil that this whole system has to grow in.
And that brings us to one final critical question for all of us. ERM was forged in the fire of a financial crisis. But as we now face a whole new generation of massive, systemic risks, from pandemics to climate change, is the system we built strong enough for what's coming next? That is the test. And it's a test that's already begun.